Often, we delve into the past, attempting to pinpoint the precise start of what we later term a revolution. Revolutions don't commence with a solitary action, but rather with the convergence or divergence of ideas, practices, and beliefs toward a focal point. This focal point is frequently likened to the spark that ignited the fire, although the fire could not exist without its fuel already in place. The Industrial Revolution brought about the growth of urban populations, the mass production of consumer goods, and ultimately, a societal transformation. Its progression is somewhat easier to track compared to other movements. Images of dark, smoke-emitting towers, robust locomotives, and a new class of affluent individuals, termed robber barons in the US, are commonly attributed to this revolution. But what set off this chain reaction? What initiated its inception? The recent conclusion of the Renaissance had already altered the course of history. The Protestant Reformation severed England's ties with the Pope and the European continent, subsequently leading to the emergence of the merchant class. However, this movement did not catalyze the onset of the Industrial Age. A damp, misty 18th century England might not seem like the probable birthplace of this phenomenon, but it was. The process began with sheep. English farmers raised sheep, processing their fleece into wool, which was then spun into fabric for shirts, pants, and blankets. Since the Norman conquest 7 centuries prior, the English countryside had been dotted with small cottage weavers. These weavers, often families working their own flock's wool, sometimes collaborated in groups of 6 or so to attract more trade. Thread from wool was meticulously crafted by hand. The physical exertion of separating the fibers and spinning them into a single thread kept the textile industry modest and isolated. When the English Empire expanded across the Atlantic to the Southern American colonies, a new fabric, cotton, began to supplant wool as a new source of cloth. In the newly settled America, cotton cultivation and weaving into fabric began, yet they encountered similar challenges to their counterparts in England. However, this was about to change. Revolutions typically ride one of two waves, either an abundance of raw materials or a shortage of those same products prompts innovation. Methods are devised to capitalize on surplus or to address scarcity in the supply chain. In 1733, English inventor John Kay devised the flying shuttle, a device that expedited the movement of thread across a loom, significantly enhancing weaving speed. However, the increased demand soon outstripped supply, leading to further innovations. English carpenter and part-time weaver James Hargreaves conceptualized a solution. His spinning jenny, an improved spinning wheel, could produce 8 threads simultaneously. The machine evolved rapidly, ultimately capable of producing 120 threads concurrently. This innovation met the escalating demand, flooding the market with cloth even in regions where only 1 or 2 manual weavers remained. However, these individuals belonged to the peasant class of the late medieval period, tethered to the land as serfs under the English feudal system. In contrast, the new American elite challenged these conventions, flourishing alongside the burgeoning cotton industry in the southern colonies. Land was abundant in the vast American continent, facilitating the rise of a new affluent aristocracy, largely built on the labor of African slaves. Yet, further innovation was required. While textile mills grew larger, they still relied on manual labor to power the looms. Muscle, wind, or water were the sole human usable power sources until the late 18th century. Water wheels, with origins dating back to the Roman Empire, were employed by English inventors in the 1760s to automate looms using the central shaft. Nonetheless, producing even a modest modern engine required a substantial water wheel fed by a copious water source. While a few locations in England possessed this combination, many more were found in New England. Yet colonial competition with established English textile trade hindered their development. Nevertheless, spurred by profit, 2 additional inventions propelled the American textile industry into full swing, marking the Industrial Revolution's earnest commencement. Another English inventor, Richard Arkwright, devised a sophisticated system to harness water power, later supplanted by James Watt's steam engine in 1790. This combination of steam power and the pulley system ignited the Industrial Revolution. However, the rapid increase in weaving speed soon depleted cotton supplies. Just 2 years after the advent of the steam-powered mill, American inventor Eli Whitney devised a solution: the cotton gin. Patented in 1792, this device amplified cotton lint production over 100-fold. Initially hand-cranked, larger cotton gins were swiftly adapted to steam power. Cotton bales proliferated in port cities like Charleston, New Orleans, and Savannah. Plantations flourished along major rivers. The English and newly formed United States ceased the African slave trade in 1808, primarily driven by economic motives. Slaves could now be bred and traded within America, bolstering the revenue streams of wealthy Southern plantation owners. The Industrial Revolution dawned, propelled partly by innovation and partly on the backs of enslaved individuals. While revolutionary changes in manufacturing were not universally embraced, they ushered in a new era of progress. Working conditions in 18th and early 19th century English textile mills were dismal, characterized by cold, wet, and perilous environments. Yet, they offered stable wages amid economic turbulence. Steam-powered mills gradually supplanted manual labor, inciting the Luddite movement. English workers vehemently opposed to technological advancements that threatened their livelihoods. Their response to the revolution included machine sabotage and occasional revolts, driven by a profound fear of being replaced by machines and the subsequent descent into poverty. Textile manufacturing spread a demand for iron components, fueling the transition from wooden to iron-based mill structures. Steam engines powered scores, then hundreds, of power looms, necessitating larger factory premises. The demand for iron surged, spurred by the adoption of coke, a purified coal derivative, over charcoal. While Welsh coal mines fueled English industry, they paled in comparison to the vast coal reserves discovered in Pennsylvania and Virginia. Amidst the complex tapestry of historical events that preceded the Industrial Revolution, one cannot overlook the role of colonial expansion and global trade. The burgeoning transatlantic trade routes facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures between continents, laying the groundwork for the interconnected global economy that would emerge in the wake of industrialization. Moreover, the scientific and intellectual ferment of the Enlightenment era played a pivotal role in shaping the conditions conducive to innovation. The emphasis on reason, empiricism, and rational inquiry fostered an environment ripe for technological breakthroughs and experimentation. Visionaries like Isaac Newton, with his laws of motion, and James Watt, with his improvements to the steam engine, epitomized the spirit of inquiry that propelled humanity into the industrial age. Furthermore, the social upheavals of the time, including the French Revolution and the American Revolution, underscored the growing discontent with traditional power structures and paved the way for more egalitarian societies. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity resonated deeply with the aspirations of the working class, fueling demands for greater political and economic empowerment. In addition, the Industrial Revolution catalyzed a profound shift in human migration patterns. Rural populations, lured by the promise of employment in burgeoning urban centers, flocked to factory towns in search of better opportunities. This mass migration reshaped demographic landscapes, giving rise to sprawling metropolises and transforming the social fabric of nations. By weaving together these threads of historical context and technological innovation, we gain a more comprehensive understanding of the forces that propelled humanity into the modern age of industrialization.